presentation, right? For the most part? Oh, y'all already started? Okay, cool. So, Professor King already introduced me, but before I get started, I really want to take some time just to let you guys know that having someone like Professor King in your lives, you know, it's invaluable. You can't put an amount on it, you know, you can't measure it, you can't quantify it. When I first got here, having a professor like Professor King, he's passionate about what he does. I'm pretty sure you guys can see it. It may seem harsh at times, but really he just has enthusiasm for what he does. And he understands the real world. He understands what we're going to be dealing with once we leave here. So he's hard on purpose, but there's a purpose for it, you know. So one of the major lessons that I got from Professor King is that anything he says to me, it's always a seed being planted. It's never to hurt you. So man, having him with his intellect, his passion for what he does, you can't teach that. And that's one of the beauties of being at a HBC or being at a small college, because you get this one-on-one with professors. So I also want to thank Professor King for having me here. How many of you the first in your family to go to college and finish? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay. Now I got my man from Jersey. We're from similar parts of New Jersey, so I love Rutgers. So the first to go to college in your family, you have an opportunity to set the pace, to set the tone. Can I ask what you major in? Business, beautiful. Criminology. Who was the other one? Biology. You raise your hand? So you're the first in the family to make this step, to change the cycle, because it's a cycle. Would you say the same? It's a cycle. We have to break it, right? And a lot of times we have our families, and I'm sure you guys heard it. I've heard the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, right? I shoulda went to college. I coulda went to college. I woulda went to college, but I didn't. So you had that opportunity to come in here and take care of business. And I'm sure under his guidance and leadership, you guys are going to. Has anyone ever heard of Black Wall Street? Okay. Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921. There's over 500 blocks of black-owned businesses, law firms, accountants, doctors, all types of entrepreneurs. There was over 20 black millionaires in 1921. Did you guys know that there was even millionaires that early, black millionaires? There's over 20 of them. You wouldn't hear about that. But Black Wall Street Massacre, black-owned city, they were ran all by themselves, and it was burned to the ground. All the businesses, people were murdered, and it was destroyed. And so I'm going to tie into that later why I mentioned Tulsa, Oklahoma, why it's important to me, and why it should be important to you guys, because you guys are in an environment to cultivate greatness. So this is a similar Black Wall Street. You guys have all great minds. I can tell by the eye contact you're making. So I'm going to tie into that later. Right? Why are we here? Why are we in college? What would you say the main reason why we're here?
I would say the main reason why we're here is because we want to better ourselves, and we want to show people in our family that we're making a difference in our lives. We're not just being a typical black person.
Word. So how many would say that the mind is the most powerful asset we all have? Anyone disagree? Okay. You're here to stimulate your mind. Like Friday, stimulate your mind. You're here to do that. In college, it's cool to know what you want to major in up front, but if you don't beat yourself up on it, because you're going to grow. Freshman year, you may think you've grown, but I'm telling you, college, those 4 years, you grow so much. You lose a lot, you gain a lot, you experience a lot, and you change. Your mind changes. As your mind expands, so does your interest. You may come into college not knowing anything about investing in a business, right? But then you may decide, hey, I didn't realize that I could have my own consulting firm in criminology, right? Or that you may find a business venture that you want to start up that you didn't think about freshman year. But because of you studied, because you read, because you developed your mind, you started to become interested in different things. And that's what happened to me. When I came here, I was young, straight from Jersey. I still dressed like I was in Jersey. I don't know if you guys do it now, but at that time I had real big jeans, real big shirts. You're from Patterson, so you understand. Big earrings, that was just the style. So I came here like that. And by midterms, I was failing. So when I went back home, I was stressed out. came back, I had a mentor, Jason Willard. Now, did you guys watch the playoffs last year when Panthers were in the playoffs and Cam Newton came out with that shirt, Keep Pounding? It was him dabbing with his son. The guy who made that shirt, his name is Jason Willard. He used to teach here at Johnson C. Smith, and he used to run the sports complex, and he used to mentor me. And I went to him, and he said to me, he said, Aramith, you got a bright mind. He said, but you know, if you say you're failing, you got all D's, partying, I was going too hard. And he was like, think about something in yourself that you can change. So on my way back to listing, I'm walking back. I'm like, man, what can I change? I get to my closet. I look at my gear. All I had was the big 4X white tees, the big jeans, Timbs, and I'm like, how am I going to succeed if I'm still dressing in my old mindset? I'm still dressing in the clothes that I wore when I was younger, when I had a different mindset. I'm at an institution of higher learning. I got to change my game up a little bit. So I called my mother. I said, Ma, I need an investment. Could you please invest in $200 for me so I can buy some suits, one suit, some shirts, ties, and pants. I want to change the way I dress. I feel if I change the way I dress, I do better in my grades. So, went to JCPenney at Eastland. I don't know if Eastland is still up. I went to Eastland Mall, got my stuff, and since from that day on, I dressed up every day. And everyone thought I always did that. No, I started, after I had that talk with my mentor, I started dressing up in suits every day. And no lie, I started hitting the library every day, and I made the dean's list at the end of that year. Now, what happened after that, I can't speak for that. You know, I got into some stuff, you know, became a Q, and, you know, got a little lost in between there. But the moral of the story is, sometimes we got to change some things about us. We got to look internal. Because you can't attack the circumstance. If you don't like the circumstance, do you think you can change the circumstance by attacking the circumstance? You blame the circumstance. I'm in poverty. You think people in poverty, I grew up in poverty, you think people in poverty could change their circumstance simply by blaming the circumstance? It's a mindset. And we all got a mind, but a lot of people choose not to develop it. I put these books up here because every one of these books has changed my life. This is my favorite book, and I'm going to talk about this book a little later. But I wrote my whole first chapter in my book, Homeless to Homeowner. I based it on The Alchemist. All right? But every one of these books has personally changed my life. Chris Gardner, he's the reason why I wrote Homeless to Homeowner. You guys read the book, watched the movie with Will Smith, The Pursuit of Happiness? That's this man. All right? Did you guys enjoy that movie? Yeah. I'm going to tell you something crazy about that. That movie starts at the second half of his life. His first half of his life was worse than that. So him being homeless with his child, that was nothing compared to what he went through prior to that. I mean, this man was raped by a man in his projects. He was beat by his stepfather. His mother was beat by his stepfather. He didn't know his real dad. And this guy became a Wall Street stockbroker and became a multimillionaire at his own firm. But the reason why I have such an affinity towards this book, because I was homeless for 9 months. After graduating college, I went back home. My wife went, well, she wasn't my wife at the time, but my girlfriend went to Howard, do her master's. She's a Smithite also. And I got turned out for a job. So I'm living at home with my mom's, depressed, working like 3 jobs, losing my hair. I was stressed out, and I couldn't take it anymore. I kept getting turned out for gigs. So I talked to my mother. I said, I need to take a leap of faith. And I said, I'm going to go back down south. Hit up one of my frat brothers. He was living in Atlanta. I said, KD, can I come down there, man? I need a place to stay. I can't stay up here in Jersey. I'm going crazy. He said, dog, let me talk to my sister. Him and his sister allowed me to move down there and sleep on her son's bed. It was a little car bed. I couldn't even fit on it all the way. But they gave me a place to stay. I had no job. I was on unemployment. Ended up exhausting my unemployment benefits. Then I found out I had a child on the way. Okay? Any of you got children? Okay. Had a child on the way. So if you heard anything about having children, you know they're expensive. Daycare is expensive. Medical bills is crazy. Diapers and all that. I know you hear about diapers and milk. That's small. Medical bills, when they go to the doctor, if you don't have the right insurance, you're talking about stacks. So I had a child on the way, girlfriend up in DC, living on a damn near couch, if you want to call it that. Felt like a bum. Was depressed. And that's when I started reading a lot of books. I said, I gotta change my mindset, because I knew that it was internal. internal. It was an internal thing. It was the way I was thinking. I was thinking poor. I was thinking like a loser. I was thinking with regrets, and that was continuing to worsen my situation. So there's 3 points I want to talk about today. First point is fear. How many of you know what fear stands for? You ever been afraid of something? What?
Gun.
Okay, a gun. What about you? Which one of your fears? Yeah, you.
I don't know.
You know? What about you? Got any fears?
Getting shot.
Getting shot? Where you from? New York? What part? Queens? Queens. So I used to go to Puerto Rican parade up on, what is it, 34th? Yeah, I used to take the train to 34th. What about you? You got any fears? Dying? Okay. What about you? You have any fears? Losing a family member. What about you?
Not being successful.
Not being successful. Self-pressure. You're overachieving, aren't you? Okay. What about you? Losing a family member. Fear is false evidence appearing real. It's an acronym. False evidence appearing real. With fear, a lot of times we feed our fears because we make this illusion that they're so big. And a lot of things that we can't change, we worry ourselves to death about. Death is one of those things you can't change. You can't tell when you don't know when that's going to happen. When you think about it over time, it affects your mood, it affects your quality of life. So you got to let that kind of stuff go. I had to let that go. I lost my aunt to AIDS my junior year in high school. It shattered my life. I found out she had AIDS, and a year later she died. She'd been living with it. I didn't know that. She was my second mother. So, you know, these things you can't control. I lost 3 frat brothers since I graduated. I buried one while I was still here. Senior year, Big Steve. I had to bury Big Steve. He died. He was I think a sophomore time, or a junior, excuse me. He passed away second semester my senior year. All right. Then we just lost his LB this year, and then we just lost my 09 brother. We lost him a few weeks ago. Christian. Anybody know Christian? You guys were here, right? So death's one of the things we can't control. But I want to tell you a story about fear. There was once this mailman, right? And he used to go to this one neighborhood every day. As soon as he got to this one street, there was this big dog. And his dog started chasing him. He started barking. Every time he walked down this one street, he messed up his day. He had to reroute, he had to maneuver just to get his job done. And he let this go on for years. So one day he got tired, he got fed up. So when he approached that street, he picked up a rock. As that dog approached him, he lifted up the rock to strike the dog with the rock. And as he stared at the dog staring back at him, and he just paused there. And as the dog barked again, he looked in the dog's mouth and realized the dog didn't have any teeth. And that's how a lot of our fears are. They're tenacious, they're aggressive, they sound loud, but if you actually face it, you'll find out it's a lot smaller than you thought. And I had to overcome fears when it came to investing. I was scared. Anyone ever invest in a business or want to invest in a business? You got a prime example back here, and I'm going to talk about branding later. Professor King is a brand. Anybody know what a brand is? Coca-Cola, right? Nike, right? You guys love Call of Duty. Would you say that's a strong brand? Almost like a cult-like following, right? People will wait in lines for Jordans. People will wait in lines to get Call of Duty. People played Call of Duty when GTA, what was it, 5, the latest one that came out? When you first got it, how long did you play it for? When you first opened it up?
I don't play GTA.
Who plays it in here? Anyone? How long did you play it when you first got it? I mean, but the first day you opened up the case, you probably stayed up all night, right? Had you some snacks and you energy drink, you stayed up. I did the same thing. I'm a gamer. That's a brand. A brand has loyalty. A brand has a brand identity. A brand will make you spend darn near your last sometimes because you love it so much. But Professor King is a brand. And what he took with his vision, his ideas, I'm sure he had some fears. I'm sure he was apprehensive about some things. But he faced them. And he turned that brand into something that's recognized, I would say globally now. If you look at Compass Magazine, how many people read Compass Magazine? Do you know he was featured in that? You guys got it? Okay. Well, he's a pioneer in shoe coaching. African-American professor teaching a course on sneaker coaching. That's big, and you guys got access to him every day. All right? So, fear, stepping out. What's one of your major goals in life? Being successful. You realize that you're going to meet some challenges along that way, right? You guarantee that. But when you face that, when you meet up with that fear, what you got to do? But not feed it, but you got to what? Face it, right? Just remember that. You guys make a mental note. We face our fears, not feed our fears. The second point I want to talk about is confidence. All right? You laughed at that.
Yeah.
What you got to say about confidence?
But I'm just saying, you just gotta be a strong person.
Anybody else have anything to say about confidence? What it means to you? No? What about you? Yeah.
Confidence, you just gotta be strong, you know, it's like you can't let people break you down, but you gotta be able to take, you know, criticism too at times. But you just gotta stay confident in yourself.
All right. What about you?
Confidence.
Yeah.
I'll say it's like willpower, I am.
Say it again.
Willpower.
Willpower, having willpower. What about you, Jay?
Being confident about his own meaning.
Word. Okay, so the other day, right, I was doing homework with my daughter, and she was struggling on this one word, and she flew right through all of the words. So, you know, we showing her no cards, she's killing it. She got to this one word, and she's struggling, and she's sitting there, and I became frustrated because I knew she knew it. I'm like, Autumn, you know this word. You can do this word. You've done it yesterday. You did it yesterday. You did it the day before. Why are you struggling? And as she looked at the word, she just stood there with her mouth open, like this. Like she wouldn't try to pronounce the word. And I was wondering what was wrong with her, and I became frustrated. And I could look at her face, and she became sad. And I saw that she started crying. And so it hit me, and I was like, man, all right, maybe I was a little too hard on her. And I thought to myself, okay, this is the time I gotta sow a seed. And so I said, oh, why are you crying? And she wouldn't say that. I said, oh, talk to me. Why are you crying? Tell her why you're crying. And she's like, cause I'm afraid to get it wrong. And I said, Autumn, what does Daddy want at you? To get it right? I said, no. I don't care if you get it right. I don't care if you make mistakes. I just want you to try. And that confidence, you got to carry that while you're here, because I'm telling you, you're going to lose family members. You're going to lose friends. You're going to lose people you thought were friends. You're going to have haters. Anytime you start doing good, there's going to be haters. I guarantee you that. Any of you interested in Greek life? Raise your hand if you're interested. You ain't got to tell me what. Okay. I came to school because, I wasn't going to go to college. I was going to go to the military because I was in high school. The girl I was dating at the time was pregnant, and I didn't want to leave her there by herself, so I was going to go to the military. She ended up losing the baby, and then I ended up going to college. But I came to a black college school, and I came down here. I went to Clark first. Fell in love with the whole strip, the Spelman, Morehouse, Clark strip. And when we came here, I loved Charlotte, and they said they'll waive my application fee, so we applied here. But my grandma always talked about the Qs. So that's what stimulated me right there. I was like, she talked about it with such an affinity. She said she would go to the Q parties, and I didn't know anything about Greek life when I got here. I didn't know what was disrespectful. I didn't know anything, right? But I wanted to do that. But I guarantee you, even when you decide to do an organization like that, if you decide whatever it is you decide, whether it's Alpha, Q, Kappa, Iota, Sigma, whatever it is that you choose, there are going to be people that you had in your circle that are going to change. Anytime you grow, anytime you change up, like Professor King said last period, the stimuli changes. Whenever you try to upgrade and step your game up, some people are going to become uncomfortable about that. Because what does it do? It reminds them that they're not on their game. And no one wants that feeling. It makes them feel like they should be hustling harder. But what do we do instead? We still go hard, right? Because in 20 years, are these people going to write your checks? Right. So confidence. So I took that time to tell my daughter that I don't want you to get it right. And don't pressure yourself, you're an overachiever. I'm the same way. I beat myself up when I sometimes when I don't get things done. But guess what? It's not about getting it right. It's not about avoiding mistakes. The only way you learn is mistakes. I failed so much since graduating, it's not even funny. I done fought to two of my student loans. I done, man, bills and collections. I mean, it's been crazy. But the thing is, every time you fail, every time you make a mistake, you only go through it so that you grow through it. So I'm speaking to you because I know the struggle of wanting to always excel. Your fear was not being successful, right? That fear of not being successful is a pressure. And when in life, I'm telling you, it's not going to always go like that. Just like the stock market, it don't always go up. It's going to be valleys. And you really need that confidence when it's down here. Because if you don't, you're going to become depressed. You're going to start beating up yourself. You're going to think you're a failure. You're going to start questioning your decisions in life. I'm only telling y'all this out of experience. So, confidence. Lastly, I just want to talk about purpose. What are y'all purposes? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Have you ever sat in the mirror? Not being funny, but have you ever just sat in the mirror and said, yo, what's your purpose? Have you ever done that? Most of us don't. It takes us a while to get to that point. What about you? It seemed kind of weird, right? It's like, I'm not going to talk to myself in the mirror. What about you? Have you ever just sat in the mirror and said, what's your purpose? That's called introspection. And most people, we go through life just running, man. We just running. You know, we listening to this, we listening to that. We just running, but we never stop and say, yo, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do right now? What am I supposed to do with my life? I had to ask myself